Got an update on the Ford 300 with the LS head. I got the engine back from the machinist and got the head put on, torqued down, got it all, bottom end all put together. It's actually a 308 cubic inch engine now. It's a 4.020 inch stroke and a 40 30-inch bore. Some people were wondering what the cam specs were. It's Howard's cam. It's 221 degrees of duration at 50 thousandths and 539 lift. That's with the LS rockers with the factory rocker ratio. Bolted on just fine. I used small block Ford 302 and 289 head studs, the short studs. When you get a small block Ford head stud kit, it comes with two different lengths, and the short studs are the correct length to use this head on this engine. It's 10.5 to 1 compression with the pistons that I use. I think the combustion chambers are about 59 cc's. I checked them after I had the head remachined, and they're about 59 cc combustion chambers. The coolant lines, I did added one from the last video where I was talking about having just one jump across where the divider is in the head. You can see there that I've drilled and tapped and added another coolant line, so I got two of them going across there, and they worked out good, and they'll clear the headers. I've tested that already, and I think that's going to work pretty good. I did check my push rod length. I made this tool right here. You can see I just built it out of a cut a 5/16 push rod and tapped it for 1/4 inch ready rod or all thread or whatever you want to call it, and use a little piece of that. It works really good. Rather than buying one, I just made my own there, and it actually takes a shorter push rod. It takes a 9-inch, right at 9-inch push rod, so it's shorter than the factory 300 push rod. And here's, a lot of people were asking how the lifter or push rod cover was going to line up, because the head overhangs the block quite a little bit here. But how I'm going to address this is the LS head has these bolt holes here all the way down through here. I got a piece of 1/4 inch flat steel I'm going to put in here, runs all the way down through, so it'll come out just past the head, and then just make a triangular gusset welded to that plate, and then RTV silicone it along here, and then I can use the factory cover and factory gasket to put the factory cover on the side here. As you can see, it looks pretty good. The other issue that I may have, and I have to check still, is when I get my intake manifolds put on. They are V-shaped because there's two of them, but the distributor, I'm not sure how well it's going to fit, since the head overhangs just a little bit, and with the intakes being on this side, I'm going to have to see whether, I was hoping to use an HEI, just because they work good and they're cheap and simple, but I don't know, since their HEIs are a big cap, I don't know if it'll fit for sure, but it's something I have to try. I did decide to go with the serpentine setup on this, and I like the serpentine setup, and I'm not running on the vehicle I'm putting it on. I'm not running power steering, It'll just have an alternator, a water pump, and obviously the crank. So I went that route there. Another thing I didn't talk about is, I don't believe, is the thermostat housing. I cut a hole in the end of the head here bigger. There was actually a freeze plug in the end of the head, and I made that hole bigger to fit a thermostat, and then drilled and tapped the holes for the factory Ford thermostat housing, and I have to use sealant on the bolts, so that should work good, I think. So there's been quite a few questions about this thing will cool well or not, and some people may be confused on how the Ford's straight sixes, the water pump pushes fluid back through the block, and then it comes up through the back of the block into the head through two big passages and flows forward through the head to the thermostat, which then opens and goes to your radiator. So with this being blocked off here in the center of the head, I have these two lines now that are going to go to the front portion of the head, go on to the radiator. So just thought I'd give you guys an update. I know quite a few people kept saying we need updates, so that's that. And hopefully the next time you guys see this thing, it'll be on the test stand running. So we'll see you then. Thanks.